Rebecca from the Urban League.
Hello.
How you doing, Swift?
Hi, it's great to be here. So I'm Rebecca Yago. I am from the Baltimore Urban League. So I guess my question, not even so much a question, but I think a lot of what you guys have mentioned about how, you know, kind of like this subtle racism, or that's what we're going to call it. I think it's just so many layers, but I feel like if we really want to be honest, it starts from the top down. Look at our president. Look at the state of our country. So it's kind of like we have so many different topics and areas to work on, but you know, they always say, you know, what you see at the bottom starts from the top. So realistically, we're doing our part as much as we can, but we got to keep pushing things to be done at the top. So that's my turn. The other question I was going to say about the whole question about the youth, that was what I was thinking about. So just like you, Mr. John Williams, you're doing like an education portion diversity for the Baltimore Sun. So I guess my thing is, could that not be like a department that could be started, instituted in these different rounds of WBAL and all these other radio or TV stations? Could they not start to develop that? Because one, that's a great way to get used to kind of even do like entrepreneurship. You could just kind of like shadow. That way they can even get exposed to it, see the background, what's going on, even realize that, you know what, I can go after it. But the thing is, a lot of times you can't go after something that you don't really know. If all you know is what you see on TV. But again, if we are in these positions where we can actually create these, you know, these kind of platforms for these children to just volunteer, even have like a summer program. Have a couple of them, and I say this urbanly, I will talk to you guys afterwards, but these are things that we're working on trying to build where we can just create these avenues for these kids to get exposed to these areas where, again, they can make the change so things can get different. But I guess that was my question, like, do you guys have what?
Yeah, I mean,
it's not even mentioned, we have community project here at WBAL-TV, nothing about positive stories in the community, and oftentimes those are African-American communities and people doing great things. As far as exposing young people, you know, I get students calling me, teachers calling me all the time. I lead tours through here all the time. You know, I speak to classes all the time. I invite anybody who wants to come in and see how we do it and how it's put together. And are you interested in broadcasting or producing or whatever? You know, that is what I do. That's what I do. It was my responsibility as being one of the first in the business to help other people come up and expose them as well. Because I can't do this forever. No. I'm hoping to help some of these people who want to take my, well, not too soon. Take my job and, you know, and continue the manual kind of thing.
No, and so that's great, and I just wish, I guess, there were more like you. Or
there are people doing it, but I think that I think what you're saying is we need a larger scale of this.
And I guess the other way to say it is, you know, advertise. Like, advertise. Put yourself out there. Like, I can't say I heard that. I mean, not saying, you know, it doesn't exist, but I'm just saying, advertise. Like, advertise. We are on social media now. Any way to get what you do out there so that you can see it, you can hear it. You know, I am a big advocate for you. You know, I'm on the Urban League, and I'm the vice president on it, but that's one of the things I'm pushing for is just ways to get our youth to be, you know, to get into these little avenues. But I guess biggest thing is a lot of them don't even know.
A lot of us don't know, though. It's like if you don't have access, right? If you don't have access to me, then you don't know about the art workshops that I do and the art therapy sessions that I do, where, you know, not only are we doing art therapy, but we're teaching kids how to make their own t-shirts, their own books, things of that nature. Kondwani is a teacher where he teaches kids about poetry, he teaches kids about English and things like that. Adam Jackson runs his workshops where they actually teach them how to advocate for public policy and things of that nature. The problem is a lot of these smaller scale projects don't get the large scale funding from, or not even funding, but exposure. You know what I mean? You need 20,000 kids that know about this opportunity, and you need them to have the actual infrastructure to be able to handle the 25, you know what I mean? Like, you know, 1,000 kids that we need to find jobs for, that we need to find placement and mentorship programs and things like that. I think what we really need to see is we need to see a concerted effort to bring all of these things, not necessarily under the same umbrella, but put them all in the same accessible place that everybody can access and disseminate that information.
But that's what I was saying, like the news, like, you know, just, you guys, if there's a way, like, you know, I'm thinking of HLN, so I listen to them every morning. They have this spotlight, oh, you know, this is something good that's done for the week, the honorable deed done for the week, or, you know, that spotlight. So I don't know if that's being done, if maybe they could have a spotlight moment on the news or something done in the community. I agree with you.
Typically what happens when we do the project community, at the end of each one, we drive people to our website. If you have a positive story, or if you want more information about the story you just saw, we put a link on our mobile app or our website. We direct people there to get the information. A lot. We do it a lot.
Okay, so yeah, I gotta jump in here. So we do it all the time. The problem is we're not consuming. That's the problem. There is a segment every week that started this year on 11 TV Hill that comes on Sunday morning at 11:30. The last segment is called Positively Baltimore. There's nothing but positive stories about it. We have to literally go out and literally dig up to find stuff because people do not call us. I get, for those of you all who may or may not know, I'm the Director of Programming and Public Affairs for this television station. I was a producer here for 10 years. So there's a lot of conversation I can have about this. But I will tell you, I get emails every day. And every day, my emails consist of all of the bad things that we do, but there's never any positive things. Well, listen, why don't you come out and do this or learn about this story? I literally found out I reached out to Aaron Maybin a year ago when I was working in D.C. because I saw the work that he was doing. Kondwani, same thing. All these people on this panel, with the exception of Andre, who I work with every day, and John, these are people who I have personally gone out as my effort to go out to bring these stories back to this particular news station. And Stan will tell you, when it comes to the race card, I'm the race police in here. I will go up and I'll run up to anybody. I had a knockdown drag out a few years ago when I was a 6 o'clock producer and stood on the newsroom floor. Stan will tell you, on the newsroom floor, said, I'm not putting another black man male mugshot in my newscast ever again. Who you think won that battle?
Brandon, you petty. Brandon, you petty.
But you see they called me back.
You came back though. That's all that matters.
So my point is, and Andre touched on this a little bit earlier, sometimes it's about number one, who's in the position? Are we at the table? And then it also takes some courage to be able to speak up. Because you could be at the table, but if you don't say anything, you being at the table doesn't even matter. Had I not had that conversation with my executive producer on that floor, it would have continued and continued. And then other producers started taking my example. And you've got to be that spokesperson. You've got to be out there and you have to have those conversations every day. We had a project community special back in April. The vast majority, how many of you all saw it? Actually saw it on television. Some of you saw it because you were there because I invited you. But again, we're not consuming it. We're not consuming it. We're not saying, hey, good job. Just so you all know, we're getting ready to do it again in September. And it's going to be on young folks and this city, and how we should be making a difference, and how we shouldn't be making comments about, why are they not having conversation with their parents, because half of them don't have parents at home. We are their parents. And so we're having, but we have to be, it's out there, honey. It's out there on all social media. We do it. There is a spot, a 30-second spot on our project community that consists of this young lady right here, my barber, a Hispanic young man, and a Hispanic young woman that talks about project community. How many of you all have seen it? See? Exactly. We don't consume it. It's there. And it comes on.
I have a question.
Yes.
Because you said the last segment. Now, when I'm going to be honest with you, with the local news, I don't watch at the very beginning. It feels like it's a competition of how many people got shot. Bam, 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 bam.
Yeah, that's all 8 blocks.
And that may draw ratings. I don't know. I'm not really. It gets to the point that and I do agree with you, I'm jumping all around, I do agree with you. Sometimes when you see the mugshot, you don't know whether it's the victim or the
Suspect.
The suspect.
And that's what we're trying to hold
And
them
I'm
accountable for
right.
right now, is to make sure that this is a dual conversation. I apologize for jumping in, but I want to make sure we stay on track. This is about media interpretation. Media meaning journalism, like journalists, that's what we have up here, and community leaders. So you have stakeholders and you have those doing it. So far, and that's why I keep putting the notes up there, I've only heard the Baltimore Sun and WBAL kind of say they have something in place to have accountability inside of their shops. The reality is that a lot of these news organizations do not have any accountability inside of their shops. And that's when you do have to juxtapose with a mugshot or a victim. We don't need to have that. If anything, I'm like putting notes up here because I'm a woman and it's
Let me say something about the mugshot thing.
but the reality is that they need to be held accountable for that. When you see something that you want to complain about, you want to hold them accountable for, please feel free to at them, call them. Because calling them is like a little old school, but do it if you want to. You can tweak the heck out of it, and as you see, sometimes that actually works really effectively.
And also with the mugshot, I believe for some youth that are lost, they don't know the purpose that they have, that they've been created for, that for them, that's influential.
It's a rite of
I was
passage
just about to say that.
in some circles.
Yes, and so maybe if we honor the victims more, instead of putting more emphasis on the person that committed the crime, and then also jumping to the positive segments, not at the tail end, because normally after the weather, it's like, okay.
It's the ratings that they take.
Yeah.
Sunday.
That part.
So we can kind
That's
of move
as
that
that
up.
gentleman talking about. That's kind of the formula.
We
You
love
can't. Yeah, we would love to do that.
Yeah.
And actually, and again, here's let you guys on to a little secret. Actually, we kind of do that because when you tune into our newscast at 6 o'clock, you're actually getting the back end of the 5. So you're actually technically getting the start of the newscast with a positive story. So there are ways that you can kind of get around it a little bit, and we kind of do that a little. But again, it's again who's at the table. But let me share this with you, and I'll say this, and I'm going to sit down. Jason Newton, yes I will. Jason Newton, my colleague, who is a graduate of University of Maryland. You all know Jason, so maybe you don't know Jason. Jason, is one of our morning anchor, African American man. Goes every year, twice a year, down to speak to new journalism students at his alma mater, University of Maryland College Park. Okay. For the last, I think he said 3 or 4 years, there hasn't been one black man in there, not one. So there are no replacements for Stan. There are no replacements for Andre. It's like we're just not interested. So again,
We have a whole MABJ chapter down there.
So, well, I'm just saying when he gives those conversations, when he gives those lectures are usually to mostly all women and not one black man.
And that probably has
ever.
more to do with the administrator of that class, because every time we go down to College Park, we have black students in there.
I didn't say black students. I said black men. The conversation is black men.
We got photos.
So
yeah.
I'm
We were just there. We were just there.
Well, then that's a connection. Then that's a connection that needs to be made.
And the reality of it is that keep in mind, like, I'm going to just spill it all since I don't have a direct connection to any of these, so I can speak a little more freely now. A lot of your managers don't even live in Baltimore. So how invested are they really when it comes down to the perceptions of black men and boys? Are they coming in from like Scranton / Shrewsbury? I mean, real.
Yeah. That's it.
Why would I be invested in a community in which I do not live or ever lived? I was a Baltimore kid from Park Heights, so I actually have got the interest here. But when it comes down to where your executive producer is coming from, by the time Stan comes in, the scripts are done.
Can I just ask a question?
But we have to go behind a lot of folks and fix things. That's what we do.
My voice is also, I
The younger
apologize.
producers and things like that, we have to go behind them and fix things so we don't have the stereotype kind of copy and,
Yeah,
you know,
like be invested
looking
in
for a
the
black
community
male, things
cover.
like that. So.
You have a list running of solutions.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that I would ask just from this room, because a lot of people say they don't know, they don't have access to anything. Is it possible from this group of people that we have, can a Google Doc be started stating some of the things that's happening, have access to everybody, so when we leave this room, everybody can disseminate the information and have access to the information in this room, and then they can pass it along to the gatekeepers, and then that way, that eliminates the excuses of we don't know, we don't have access, because we started the access in this room. And on a free document, Google Docs, everybody got it, I'm sure. And everybody provided their emails somehow, Jerome,
emailed you, texted you, something. So we have communications for everybody in this room. Just put it, getting a Google document started so that we know the area of expertise for everybody on the panel. Everybody can go in and say, well, I specialize in this particular area, or I have access to this group of people. And then if you need it, you go into that, you go on that list, and then you reach out to those people.